Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I'm an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, husband, and now author. I'm the founder and a partner of a fabulous 20-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country and now the world. We have hosted tours over the last 23 years to Italy, Spain, Oregon, and soon Mexico and France. And in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. We are excited to now be in our third season, and our podcast is all about the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired with every podcast. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Inspiring Living. I hope everyone is surviving the summer heat. I just returned from a couple weeks in Idaho with time in McCall with a couple of good friends and clients, and then time in Coeur d'Alene with my 3 daughters. And it was hot up there too, but not as hot as it has been here in Phoenix. You forget when you get away for a few days and then come back and you go, whoa. So anyway, I always say it is our winter in reverse. So here we go. Okay, and it's middle of July, so it's almost the end of July. So we're getting there. Okay, we have a wonderful podcast today. Our guest is Cammie Beckert, founder and owner of Cameron Custom, one of the few female-owned and operated custom home builders in Arizona. You have likely heard of Camelot Homes, owned by her parents, but my guest today is a spin-off of that company, and she definitely has it going on, and her story is very inspiring, to say the least. Okay, it has been an interesting summer, that is for sure. Sadly, I have had several good friends unexpectedly pass away, 7 in the last 60 days, and then add Isabel's father, who had a debilitating stroke in June. He's still kicking, and Isabel's trying to help him out, so it's been tough. Of those 7 that passed away, I sadly say goodbye to my book co-writer, David Brown, who also had a very debilitating stroke in June and never did recover. David, you will most definitely be missed by me and so many others who you wrote for. And with that said, I send my prayers to all, but especially Isabel's father and my dear friend David Brown's family. Isabel and I did have an amazing trip to Medjugorje while this was all going on, Medjugorje, Bosnia, where we participated in a 9-day prayer pilgrimage with our spiritual leader, Katie Sabagian. It was truly a life-changing and magnificent 9 days with a wonderful group of people. And let's just say prayers were sent to all of you. Okay, we want to thank Scottsdale Modern Luxury Interiors Magazine for our feature of one of our modern homes built by Brimley Development, with interiors by Anita Lang of IMI Design. They also featured our firm for the Faces of Design, and then Scottsdale Modern Luxury featured the Candelaria design principles in their Power Players feature. So thank you. Definitely check those out. We have had a very successful summer. We were awarded a Lux Magazine Red Award for both interior architecture for a home that we collaborated with Valone Design and Creative Designs and Lighting and builder Linthicum Construction. Then we also received 3 Gold Nugget Merit Awards from the Pacific Coast Builders Council, 1 for Best Custom Home and 2 were for Best One-of-a-Kind Home. So congrats to our design teams and clients. Okay, let's get to today's podcast. So, without further ado, here is our podcast interview with Cammie Beckert of Cameron Custom. Okay, our guest today is Cammie Beckert, founder and owner of Cameron Custom, one of the few female-owned and operated custom home builders in Arizona. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. We were just talking. We're going to try to record this on Sunday. We were out in the middle of the boonies, and the whole family was there. And I'm like, we can't do this now. It's going to be too crazy. So thank you for reconvening and meeting with me on a what is today, Tuesday?
I know. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, this is awesome. Well, like I said, I've been a big admirer of your entire family, which I just said you guys are uber talented. And I love your product. I love the way you guys do things, and I would love to team up with you at some point. So we will figure that out for sure.
As would I, for
Yeah.
sure.
So let's start with you telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and your design and build background.
Sure. So I'm third generation home building family, and grew up in the business. Really didn't want to do anything within the business when I first started my career. And eventually, I don't know, we might get into more detail on that later as we do this podcast. But I actually didn't quite know what I wanted to do growing up, and ultimately landed working in the family business. Have been working in the business for over 20 years, and really have an appreciation for design, luxury, and just have been exposed to it throughout my life. So, that's just a little taste of my background.
Yeah, that's great. So were you born here in Arizona?
Yes, I'm born and raised. I went out to University of Kansas my freshman year of college. I had family that lived there and wanted to see what it was like to live out of state, and visited the campus in spring.
Yep.
And it happened to be the worst fall, winter in like a decade. And so I was the boomerang child, and ended up finishing up at ASU where there was sun
Yep.
360 days out of the year. So yeah.
I started at University of Colorado. I grew up in Colorado, so I knew kind of what I was in for. But then I happened to come down to ASU during spring break.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, oh my God, you are serious? This other half of the world is living like this, and I'm here in cold, muddy, brown Colorado. So, but yeah, so I get it. We are very lucky to live here, aren't we?
Yeah. And for me, I didn't appreciate it until I went away. So
I know it's gonna be 113 on Friday, but you know what? I'll take
well,
115 over 20 below any day of the week.
absolutely. At least when you look out, you see the sun.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
it's 20 below, you're still living inside, but it's that gray. I don't like the gray.
Yeah. I'd rather
Right.
I'd rather try to cool off and try to warm up,
Exactly. Me
right?
too.
Yeah. So your parents own Camelot Homes, who, by the way, I'm a big fan of, just like I said. Do you start off working there, or did you want to pave your own path? You kind of alluded to that a little bit.
Yeah, I started to go down that. So I'll circle back to where I was going in conversation. Really, I growing up in the family business, I wanted to kind of create my own path, and wanted to see what life had for me. And uh, I ultimately ended up working at a news station. It was a very random way of how I got there, but I wanted to have an internship before I finished college. So ended up meeting a woman that was the president of the news station. I didn't know at the time. And had a 6 month internship there, worked there for a couple of years and on the sales side. And then evolved into working for a company called the Myers Group that I sold data to uh, developers, builders, helping in their due diligence process in Phoenix, Tucson, and Vegas. So it's kind of an entree into my real estate career.
Gotcha.
And then from there, worked for a land broker in town, Nate Nathan, who was
Oh yeah.
amazing. Love Nate.
Yep.
And eventually, my dad, we had some conversations, and he said, why don't you come and check out what is going on at Camelot? And by that time, I'd been in my career for probably 6 years. And started in on the marketing and sales side, and had such appreciation for the business, such appreciation for working in a family company. And I never knew that sensation. And I took a lot of pride, or I still take a lot of pride in the company.
Yeah. No, that's great. So
once you were at Camelot, what was your role there, and how many years were you there, did you say?
So I've been in the business for working in the family business 20 plus years.
Okay.
Time flies. It's crazy to even say that. But I started in the sales, really started in marketing, assisting sales, and then evolved into sales full time. So my background is a lot of sales, being out in the field, working with clients, and that's what I love. I love working with families, building their homes. So
Perfect. So what was the path towards launching Cameron Custom? I mean, it's a completely separate division, or it's a separate company, correct?
yeah,
Camelot Homes.
it is under the umbrella of Camelot
Okay.
Homes. But it's run, it's its own separate LLC. But for a number of years, we talked about diversification on the Camelot side. And what did that look like? We had talked about doing a custom remodel division. But everyone was so busy with, the operation as it was. And eventually just one event happened after another that led me to starting this division. It started with a friend calling who purchased a Camelot home in McCormick Ranch from the 1970s. It was an old model that had never been remodeled. She said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in doing this remodel?" And that was literally my first entree into doing renovation work. It was a full down to the studs. And I kind of questioned if I wanted to continue on that because it's a lot of work and it's different work.
Remodels are a lot
Yeah.
tougher than new builds.
They
People
are,
don't
they
realize
are.
that. Yes.
And it just, in addition to that, we had a community called named White Horse.
Yep.
If you're familiar with White Horse. And at the time, this was about 5 years ago, we had 1,000 people a week coming through the community. It was crazy. It was a tourist attraction.
Yeah, that was very popular.
And so people started asking us then, can you design our home so it looks like this, or will you build on our lot? And then I also did a program at Harvard. I'm in this organization called YPO. Yep. And Young President Organization. And through that, I get to do a program back at Harvard. It's a 9-year program. And we had to do, I had to do a business case study. And so I presented putting this division together as part of it. So it's just like a few different things came together, and then ultimately decided, let's just roll up my sleeves, and I'm going to dedicate my time to this.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about Cameron Custom.
Oh gosh, where do I begin? So I will say I'll begin with the people that I work with. So we have a staff of 10, including myself. So I am owner business development. I have a person that helps with operations, VP of operations. So he comes with over 20 years of experience, and is just a very system process-oriented person. Yep. Then I have purchasing. I have director of construction. We have some site managers under him, and then we have a person that helps out with just the client interaction through the whole journey from concept to completed home. So that's the foundation of what makes the operation. We've got a great team that I feel like ego is checked at the door, and we all really truly collaborate on. It's basically, I position it as I onboarded people, that it's a startup company. It's a startup company within an established company, which you have to have a little grit to be able to push through that. So that's the people side. As far as projects go, we have currently 11 projects that are in the ground. And then we have about 10 other projects that are going through the design phase. Gotcha. So the projects that are in the ground, 2 of those are remodels, and they're significant remodels. They're down to the studs and kind of the Catches Corridor area.
Yep.
And then we have we have homes that we're building, two in Blackstone. We have a couple in Desert Mountain, one in Silverleaf. We have a couple in PV. So we have throughout the valley.
Right.
Homes. We work with outside architects, interior designers. It's truly a custom experience. So we, to that point, we started this division, and it was named Camelot Custom and Remodel. And I wanted to separate us from the traditional side. So as of last year, we rebranded as Cameron Custom to separate us. Cameron happens to be my name, so that's one of the low-hanging fruit. That's where the name came from. It was kind of awkward at first because I never called Cameron except for, I'm almost 50 years old, and my parents say Cameron, I feel like I'm in trouble. So it took me a little bit of time to get, past that, but now I hear the name and I'm good. So inspired.
That's good. So what were some of the challenges with starting this new business? Was it funded as a division of Camelot Homes, or is it completely separate?
So as far as the challenges, I would say, for me, being the sole person that started it within the division or within the traditional Camelot company, everyone already had their role as far as purchasing, as far as even accounting. So everyone on the team is used to working on specific communities. So when I came, there's only so many hours in the day. I had to ask people, hey, can you help with this? Can you help with that? And I found myself wearing multiple hats that I never even knew how to do. Like me in accounting I'm married to a CPA, and he helps on the accounting side. So anyway, I would say that was one of the challenges, is just getting the proper team around me. And through that experience, I realized I needed a team dedicated just to the Cameron Custom, both from a time perspective, but also there's different systems and there are different processes that we had to create. And so back to the challenge question, that was a challenge as well. It's kind of like it's an evolution. While we all have been in the home building industry, we haven't set up a company. So there's a lot of learning, a lot of growth. So, which I love to learn. And so while I was challenged, I knew I was outside of my comfort zone, and I listened to enough podcasts to know being out of your comfort zone is where growth occurs. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm on something.
So was your family a little apprehensive about you starting this arm, that it might cannibalize their business in some fashion, or were they very supportive, or how did that all come down?
Yeah, they actually were very supportive. I started small, and within a couple of years, I grew to a backlog of 50 million. So it ended up, at first I felt like the redheaded stepchild in the business, and then it became a matter of, hey, this is really a true business, and I earned respect through just that process. And I am the type of person that doesn't take things lightly. I want to do things and do them well, and I have big shoes to fill, in that here is this family established company that has a great reputation. So I think that I put more pressure on myself than my parents or family, cast in my direction.
Yeah, well, being a father of 3 daughters, your parents have got to be very, very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I know what it feels to be a father, and see your daughters exceed and excel. It's very gratifying, you know, so I'm sure your family's very, very proud of you.
Thank you. The admiration goes both ways. So,
Yep. Now that's true, right? So tell me about how these
Yeah.
collaborations work and how do they come about? So I'm very curious as an architect out there, you know, trying to figure out, okay, how would I work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I actually, through just the history of being in the Valley for over 50 years, I've naturally encountered different architects, different landscape designers, different interior designers. But that was just organically. It wasn't with the intent of working with this talented group with the intent of doing the custom division. So I actually have created some marketing collateral, and I joke, I actually put a book together, and I've gone on a book tour. So I have met with a number of architects, a number of interior designers. I put myself in a position of going to networking events, and really, I feel like my role in the business is both business development, meeting the clients, but also curating a list of designers that fit different clients' styles, budgets, just I feel like a matchmaker to a certain degree. And your team has been on my list, so I'm glad that we're meeting. We actually,
awesome.
I did meet with your other cohorts not too long ago, so I'm definitely would love to partner on a project.
For sure. So now, do you have architects and designers as part of your staff, or do you just, like you just said, you just go out and put the right team together?
Put the right team together. We do have a gentleman that has worked with the traditional side of the business for over 15 years. So we offer, I tell people it's almost like a menu of services. There are some clients that will come to us and they walk through one of our models and they want to build one of our floor plans on their lot. Always customized, but in that case, I generally will turn to our more internal resource.
Yep.
And then outside of that, it gets back to what I mentioned earlier, just figuring out the fit. We do have a design center. And so we allow people we'll set them up to go through our design center. Or if a client wants to work with an interior designer, someone maybe that they followed, or they want to have the cohesive experience of interior finishes, countertops, tile work, matching their furniture, then I'll pivot and recommend that they work with an interior designer. At that point, we just do the traditional route of they meet at the designer's showroom and they'll put a book of specs together for us, and we'll just bid off of that book.
Yep.
So
in a lot of ways, you're kind of almost during the pre-construction phase, you're kind of a owner's rep almost, in helping them put the team together, managing the process, and getting them through permits, so then you can build the house.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And we have had some clients who've come to us with plans already to go, which that's a nice experience, because we work on the pre-construction phase depending on the scope of work. Generally it can be 6 to
who knows,
depending, and we don't benefit from that until we start building the home. So if someone comes to us with plans ready to go, that's a cherry on top.
You can kick it right into high gear right out of the gate.
Yeah. Right? Exactly.
Did you charge for that pre-construction period, or do you just kind of prorate it into the build?
We do. So, it just depends on the project, and it depends on the scope of work.
Yep.
So generally, we'll do some type of retainer.
Gotcha.
So that way we aren't spending 6 to 12 months just curating this process, and then someone goes and bids out the work to another builder.
You just never know, do you?
Yeah.
No, and I would tell my clients, I think it's fair to you, in your case, to be compensated for your time and effort, whether they end up going forward with you or not. I think, you're bringing value to the whole thing, and that you should be compensated for that.
Yeah. So to that, mentioning that, I think it's so beneficial to clients to get the team together as they're putting their concepts together. We have had a client that came to us with the plans complete. They'd gone to the architect, they had the interior designer, they select all of their finishes, and it's a lot of time spent to get to that point, only to be completely over budget and have to reselect a number of things, and they have to go backwards in order to go forward. So if we're in the meetings at the beginning, we can help with that value engineering. We can help in a number of ways that does bring value.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I like to work too. My best projects have always been those projects where we assemble the team right out of the gate. And then, just like you said, as we're developing the plans, we do checks and balances, run budgets. I'll have the builder run a budget. I'll run a budget based on other jobs, and, just, again, try to hit the target and not go backward once we get to the target,
Yeah.
It is so easy to fall in love with a Porsche, and then you got to give your client a Prius.
Yeah,
no. Like, it's not the same at that point,
It's not. And so we actually begin that budgeting exercise once the plans are at a conceptual phase, both floor plan, elevation, before you go into construction drawings, when you're having to, invest some more money.
Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we're excited to have a new sponsor for our podcast, the Sleep System Store, located at the northeast corner of Indian Bend Road and Scottsdale Road. The Sleep System Store is the only place in Arizona where you will find premium handmade beds expertly crafted by the world's most exclusive brands, including Hastings, Vispring, and Cleft. At Sleep System, a trusted and highly trained sleep specialist guides you through the process of selecting your perfect fit. With 2 locations serving Scottsdale and surrounding areas, each location offers a unique lineup of beds and bedding selected from the best collections, engineered from completely natural materials for your comfort, and brought all together to one premium destination, having you achieve the best, most comfortable night's sleep imaginable. There is nothing better and more restorative to your well-being than a good night's sleep. Check them out in-store or online at sleepsystemstore.com. That's sleepsystemstore.com, and tell them the Candelarias sent you.
So then you mentioned that you do remodels and new, which is great. Let me ask you that a little bit, in terms of the proportion. You mentioned quite a bit of remodeling, right?
Actually, the reverse. We have, so out of my 11 jobs, almost 12 jobs that are in the ground, 2 are remodel.
Got you. Okay. All right. I would say we're about 50-50, believe it or not.
Are you?
Clients are very surprised to hear that we do that much remodeling. It's been our bread and butter for the 40 years that I've been doing it.
Really?
And what we find, especially now, I mean, there was so much built. You mentioned McCormick Ranch, so much built in the 80s and 90s. It's now 30 years, 40 years. A lot of it's falling apart,
Yeah.
They're sitting on great lots because they weren't built.
Yes.
They weren't built particularly well then. They built things very cheap.
Except for the Camelots.
Except for the Camelot. There you go.
Exactly.
But you know what I'm talking about. There was a lot of
no, I do.
not built very well, but they're sitting on amazing dirt. You mentioned the cactus corridor. There is a classic example of some of that, where it's that dirt is just becoming so valuable. And you look at some of the houses that are on that dirt, and it's just like, you sure you remodel, or should we just tear this down and start new?
Tearing down and starting new is, that's what my recommendation is, as much as it makes sense.
Right.
So then you aren't so cornered into different aspects of what has already been built.
Like, if you're gonna, I always tell people, if you're gonna move the kitchen from where it is to another side of the house, all the dominoes will start falling, and you might as well just build new, because all your infrastructure, all your mechanical, plumbing, it all needs to be redone. It's 30-40 years old. You're gonna attach brand new wiring to this old wiring. It doesn't make sense, And when I look at how things are built now as opposed to how they were built then, I mean, your house is going to last 40, 50 years, if not longer, if you build it right now, you know?
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. And I know it's easy for me to sit here and say that because I'm not emotionally attached or my wallet's not involved.
Right.
People, you know, I try to find the judicious point where to have that conversation. And a lot of times they arrive at the conclusion themselves, you know.
Right.
But I've been so many times where you go down the whole remodel path and then all of a sudden the client goes, why didn't we just tear this whole thing down? You know?
Wow.
And so I've learned to, you know, pipe in at the right time, then taking it too far, and then people are disappointed, like, oh my God, I'm not happy that we're remodeling this. We should have tore it down. And then they spend time again redesigning, you know, a new house when they've already spent all this time and money on a remodel. So it's a very interesting dynamic that you go through. And that's again why I like to have the team to go through it together, you know.
Yeah, and you're right. There's less land to build new builds. So remodel, I know there's a lot of opportunity.
It's pretty much endless. I mean, you just drive from the Salt River north and just let's just say east of the 101. That's what a quarter of the city, maybe.
Yeah,
it's endless. There's so much to be remodeled.
There is, and then you have clients. Well, there's again, what makes more sense, remodel or new build? We're currently just demoed a house in McCormick Ranch down to the dirt. And he probably paid like 300,000 for his whole house. So at that point, it just makes so much more sense to demo, which by the way I didn't realize this, but when you do a full house demo permit, you get a call. Well, we got a call from the Scottsdale SWAT team. So they use the house for training.
Yeah, we've done that. It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's so much fun. And so I asked the client, like, do they notify the neighbors? And the wife said, you know, I was hoping they wouldn't. They have a tennis court across the street from their house. She's like, I was just gonna eat popcorn and watch the neighbors and see what happened. But they did notify the neighbors. So
yep. So in terms of styles, you mentioned you pretty much do all styles, and it probably depends on what the customer's looking for. You'll pair them up with the right architect, you know.
Exactly.
But do you have a favorite style?
I do. And I never know exactly how to communicate the style. There's a couple homes in Silverleaf, that, I think Oz Architecture has done. It's kind of there's just a softness to it. I wish I could show you a photo and you can tell me what you think the actual name is. What would you call this style?
I mean, something like that might be kind of a rural Mediterranean transitional. So it might have a little modernness to it, but it's still traditional and soft and homey, comfortable.
Yeah, there's nothing better to me than just a house that is welcoming. It's not over the top, like ostentatious. Look at how well I've done in life, which, you know, some people they like that and I can respect it. But for me, I always want people to feel welcomed in a very well done way.
Right.
So yeah. So if you were going to, I don't know if this is fair to mention, but if you're going to the Silverleaf Club, and there's the community right before you get to the bridge on the left-hand side. What would you call that style?
I'd probably call it that same kind of style.
Yeah, that's it. Their homes
it works with the clubhouse and it fits in and So,
What about you? Am I allowed to ask questions too?
No, yeah, of course. I don't have a favorite style per se. I think if I'm going to do a modern or contemporary home, it still has to feel like a home, just like you were saying. I hate drywall boxes that have no soul, no feeling, no warmth, no details, and you know, just drywall. I was like, seriously, this is a box, guys. You know, anyone could have done this.
And it's so fascinating to me. If just the different styles, if it's done well, I can completely appreciate and even see myself living in the space if it's done well. There's just when people are in their element.
It has to feel like a home. I don't want to feel like I live in a dentist office.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
right. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or bank? Like, okay,
One of the,
looks like a bank. You know?
yeah, one of the best compliments I've received is when someone said they walked into one of our on the Camelot traditional side, walked into one of our homes. They said it feels like a home hugs you when you walk in.
Yes, that's a very good analogy. I like that. And
Yeah.
I think the other thing is just, not be so trendy that within 2 years it's out of style, or it's, it should be like a good bottle of wine. Over time, it just gets better and better and better, So that's what I always shoot for, is not, let's make sure this is going to look good 20, 30, 50 years from now. And I look back, like I said, I've been doing this for 40 years now, and it's great to look back at some of our houses, and they truly look better now as they've gotten older, kind of like me, Cammie, come on.
I know, no, I feel like it's unfair. Men age well, like men just are like wine. Women, we have to do all this stuff to keep up.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
I've heard that. I've heard that from a few people, so I won't mention any names though.
Okay.
Okay, so what differentiates Cameron Custom from your competitors? What's different about you? You've already mentioned a few things and how you do things a little differently.
Yeah, I would say I'll begin with the backing of Camelot Homes. We're starting from a company that's been around for over 50 years.
Yep.
We have a reputation within the market, a positive reputation. We have worked on, we've won a number of awards, but aside from that, we recently won a award for our operations called National Housing Quality Award, got a gold, which is a huge accomplishment. So that was on the Camelot side. Cameron Custom team, we're shooting to apply for that within the next couple of years. It takes like 6 months to go through the whole process. So aside from that, also our team, I don't know if everyone can say this, but there's just an energy to our team that is very homey and very welcoming. And we want people to feel just comfortable in the process, and not only comfortable, but also confident in who they're working with. And I think based off of what I just told you, that helps create that comfort and confidence.
Yeah, and trust. That's always an important.
Trust is huge, yeah.
So what challenges have you faced with your business, and how did you overcome them? I mean, we all have challenges. I mean, staffing is a challenge, and
it's a challenge every day.
It's a challenge every day, right? Materials, subs. I mean, I always wonder, how do you guys manage all of these trades and just, being able to rely on people?
If you think of it, or I think of it in its totality, it can get very overwhelming. So I break it down, and how we deal with challenges is really communication. Everything boils down to the communication. So if you have an issue, talking it through as much as you can, take the ego out of it and work collaboratively to a solution, because everyone wants to move forward. Yeah. So find a win-win, and sometimes there isn't always a win-win. You have to work your way through it.
Yep, that's exactly right. I always tell people, and it's very cliche to say, but it's definitely not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you won't win every sprint, but the goal is to win the marathon. When you're done, it's a beautiful house. There's always going to be problems. Yeah. But it's how you work through those problems that makes the difference.
Yeah. And then expectation setting.
Yeah, exactly. That's another really good one, I find.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes things a lot easier if clients kind of know what's coming and what's going and what's happening. Like I said, it's communication.
And there are going to be bumps in the road, setting that expectation too. So
exactly. So one thing that Candelaria Design is very involved in is charitable groups and charitable functions and eco-conscious projects. We've won several LEED awards, and I'm an actual board member of Habitat for Humanity, and we're working on some things. And we did the
Amazing.
first 3D printed house ever in Arizona. And
Oh,
so, I love looking at all this new technology. AI is another thing that we're doing a lot with it already in terms of
I,
helping with design and, just formulating new things.
I love ChatGPT. It's like my best friend. It's so
I'm faster
amazing.
than looking things up in the code book, I'll tell you that much. I can find it
Yes.
right there in 2 seconds. So it is really handy. So what are there charitable organizations that you've been involved in?
So on the Camelot side, yes. On the camera custom side, we are a startup business. So
You're
once
getting
we
there.
get it going, absolutely. My heart is definitely there in terms of helping the community. We do have a foundation. We belong to the Arizona, I'm going to space on the Arizona Foundation. We certain number of our amount of our profits gets contributed to this organization. And from that, or this foundation, from that, my family's been very involved with Boys Hope, Girls Hope.
Yeah,
Helped remodel the house.
it's great.
My mom has been on the board, and so I have two kids right now that one who has a little bit special needs. So my time is dedicated to my kids and work. But once I get past this chapter,
Yep.
I can't wait to be able to give back. But on the foundation, our employees are able to request different ideas. And so whether it be like the little leagues or, we'll help contribute to that. But
Yep. So where do you see the home building industry going in the next 5 to 10 years?
from geographically or like construction-wise or
technology and even management. I mean, with AI, I mean,
yeah.
I don't think you're ever going to build a home from a home. I think you still have to go to work to build a home, right? So I don't think you can build a home from Zoom.
Yeah. I am fascinated by AI. It's one of the topics that came up at this Harvard program that I go to. It's 1 week a year. It's a 9-year program. So 1 week a year, I get to pretend like I'm smart and get updated on the latest trends. And AI is definitely one of those trends. So we're trying to figure out how to integrate it into our business.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple other software programs that we're integrating currently. So it's like, let's get through that and then we'll look at the AI component.
Yep.
So where home building lands with the integration of AI,
hard to know where it's going to go, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to forecast. But there's so many benefits of optimizing things that I feel like it's just going to be only for the good.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. How has it been with labor? Are you able to find good labor? Are your subs able to find good labor? That's the one thing that I've been really trying. I'm working with a group called Elevate, which works with inner city kids that gives them career opportunities. And the schools, when I went to school, there was VOTEC. I learned drafting. There was shop. There was woodworking. Well, they don't have any of those anymore. And we've brought some of these kids in, and we've done a design day at our office, and then we take them out to some of the job sites, and their eyes are just like, I had no idea that houses like this existed, and people design these and build them, and I didn't even know any of these jobs were out there. You know? And so I'm trying to get a lot more kids excited about the construction industry.
Yeah.
As I look at my electrician, my stucco sub, these guys make good money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like they're making minimum wage. They're making bucks,
Yeah. And to answer your question, it is an ongoing commitment to working with trades, finding good trades.
It is, isn't it?
Nurturing those relationships once you do find good trades.
Right.
But bringing in the next generation, I think, is a really good focus.
Yeah. Well, just listening to you today, I'd like to introduce you to Jasmine Hall of Elevate, and just let you two kind of brainstorm a little bit, maybe get a few
Yeah.
kids your way once in a while, just to show them what you do and how you do it.
Absolutely. We have had interns, so that's an opportunity as well. In
Yeah.
fact, we had an intern from the Boys Hope, Girls Hope, which was fun. We had our 2 years in a row. So we are definitely open to partnering and looking for opportunities to support the next generation.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I will introduce you to you. Will love Jasmine. She's a lot like you, very dynamic, very energetic. And I always love putting people together like that and just kind of watch the fireworks happen.
It's fun. I like that too.
Yep. So I always finish my interviews with some more about you. I assume you work all the time. You mentioned you have a couple kids, right?
Yes.
So you're busy
Yes.
with that. But maybe what do you do to take time for yourself? What's an escape for you?
My biggest escape is reading. I love reading books, and I've been more focused on business books, so I'm trying to diversify a little bit and read some I love historical fiction books. So just sitting on my patio,
Just learning.
yes, I love learning. Sitting on my patio on we have a like swing chair.
Yeah.
And can see the McDowells and reading a book, like that is the most blissful thing for me. But outside of that, like where I get just some R&R, I like massages and pedicures and all those things to just kind of like regroup, de-stress, so I can come to the office fresh and ready to take on all those daily challenges.
That's good. I love that. So I've got a good book for you. You probably have already read it. It's called 10 Times is Easier Than 2 Times. Have you?
No, it's
okay. Everything you said today, this book I think will really appeal to you. I'll send you the link and I'll put it in the story notes too,
okay.
so everyone else can enjoy
I love it.
Read it. I'm an audiobook guy. Excuse me. And I loved it. It was so good.
I love it.
And it basically just says, a lot of us shoot for twice what we can do. Why not shoot for 10 times what you can do? And if you fall back or you don't quite make it, you're way ahead than 2. It takes the same amount of effort, but just dream bigger. So I love what you're doing because I see that in you. So what are some exciting things in the future for you that you want to do and accomplish?
Gosh, I feel like just continuing to grow the business and not grow the business just to grow the business, but do some cool projects, like just ones that we can walk away from like, oh my, just look at it. I'm excited for what's ahead from that perspective. I will be turning 50 in August. So my husband and I are going on a cruise. I've never really been on a cruise, a smaller boat on the Amalfi Coast. So I'm excited for that. And then just I don't know that I have so many things I want to do and there are just not enough hours in the day. So
you will find the older you get, the more that is true.
It is so true. It kills me. I'm like, wait, we're already in June? Like half this year is gone?
It's crazy. Yeah. And that's my wife and I say, we're just like, we got to just start doing the things we want to do. And let's quit waiting for things to happen. Let's just go do them,
I feel like I follow you on social. We're connected and I see all the amazing things you do. So you definitely are doing what you say. At least through observation.
I'm trying. I'm lucky because I can pretty much work anywhere. So I just bring my iPad with me and I draw everywhere and work on my drawings. And that is one nice thing about being an architect. I can pretty much work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas you're building a house, that house is not moving with you,
No, it's not.
You're done. So I admire what you guys do. It's hard work. But it's so beautiful when like you said, that to me, the most rewarding part of the business for me is not the finished product. It's the story. It's the teamwork. It's the journey that happens. And if you put well, the relationships that come from that journey are endless. I mean, they're lifelong journeys and friendships. And the most rewarding part for me is I just got rehired by a client that I designed his dad's home 40 years ago.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I remember when he was a little boy, I was 22 at the time working for George Christian. I remember him as a little boy sitting at our conference table, looking at what we were buying. And now I'm designing his house.
I love that.
So it's cool. It's
That,
kind of cool to transcend time and just, be a part of these families and
yeah,
creating their home, their sanctuary. It's a
yeah.
beautiful thing,
I have chills. Like, that is so sweet. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's the best part of our business, I think. So I'm real excited about the opportunity to work for you because I get to work with you because I can sense this synergy brewing here, and only our clients would benefit from it. So I will definitely be, excuse me, in touch with you to maybe hook up on one of the houses we got coming up.
Awesome. And I would love to come to your office and show you. I mentioned the book tour. So I'd love to come to
Yeah,
your office and show you what I've got, just so you have something tangible to,
that'd be great.
reflect on. If you think of something, you see the book, and you'll
Yeah.
hopefully call me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank
And
you.
get this podcast out and keep up the great work. And like I said, it's a journey. I would tell people, keep going. Just keep moving.
Thank you.
Even if it's an inch a day, it's in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I'll check your book out too. So thank you. Thanks for your
Cammie.
time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Cammie, for this fantastic podcast interview. Great job, and keep it going. Okay, we have some great podcast episodes coming to you in the weeks ahead, so stay tuned. Thanks for your continued listening. Thank you also for the ratings and reviews. Please give us a rating and review, as it really helps promote our podcast. Let me know that you did, and I will send you a signed copy of my book, Candelaria Homes, which is also available on the Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target websites, along with our Candelaria Design website. I am almost done with book 2, and with that said, I would again like to say a sad goodbye to my co-writer, David Brown, who left us last weekend. He had just finished the last chapter, sent it off, and sadly had a stroke virtually hours after sending us that email. So, very sad for sure. I miss him a ton. My prayers are with all of my dear friends who have lost their loved ones. Okay, we do our best to inspire living in everything we do, from our podcast to our cooking classes, our book, our tours, our shows, and of course, our Candelaria Design homes. Okay, have a great week, and let's all live our lives with love, compassion, grace, and positivity. Thanks for the listen, and we look forward to connecting again real soon. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. This is how Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. I want to say a big thank you to my good friends at Stockett Tile and Granite Company, where your project is our priority. I want to thank the Stockett team, along with so many others who contributed to the success of our fabulous demonstration kitchen and our new Candelaria Design office expansion. You will have to check out online our video cooking classes, and our kitchen is amazing. I've had the pleasure of working with the Stockett team for nearly 40 years on many spectacular projects, and trust me, they are the epitome of excellence when it comes to tile, marble, and granite work, bar none. Their skill and customer service is impeccable, and the bottom line is they are just good people. I have traveled with and dined with and just had good times, both personally and professionally, with Dave Stockett and his lovely wife, Becky, and they are the best. When it comes to your next tile and stone project, make sure Stockett Tile and Granite is a part of your team. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.